My neighbor asked me to watch his dog for the weekend. It was actually a wolf that's now worth $1.2 million. What's the strangest way you've ever made money? Mine happened last summer and completely changed my financial life, and all because I didn't know the difference between a dog and a wolf. I was living in a small apartment complex in Colorado, barely making rent as a freelance graphic designer. My neighbor, an eccentric older man named Marcus, mostly kept to himself. We'd exchange nods in the hallway, but that was about it. He always wore expensive looking outdoor gear and disappeared for weeks at a time. One Friday morning, Marcus knocked on my door looking frantic. Emergency situation, need to fly to Alaska immediately. Would you watch Timber for the weekend? I'll pay $500 to dog sit for 2 days. It seemed too good to be true, but I needed the money desperately. My rent was already 2 weeks late. Marcus handed me a set of keys and detailed instructions. Don't take him out during daylight. Only feed him the raw meat in the freezer. Don't let anyone see him. I'll be back Monday. When I entered his apartment, I expected to find a high-maintenance purebred. What I found instead was definitely not a dog. Timber was enormous, parent easily 120 pounds with piercing yellow eyes. He looked like a wolf because, as I would later discover, he absolutely was a wolf. At first I panicked. I googled how to tell if your neighbor's dog is actually a wolf and confirmed my suspicions. I should have called animal control immediately. Instead, I followed Marcus's instructions to the letter, fascinated by this magnificent creature who surprisingly seemed perfectly comfortable with me. Monday came and went. No Marcus. By Wednesday I was worried. By Friday I was frantic. I finally called the emergency contact in Marcus's instructions, his brother in Montana. Marcus was arrested at the Canadian border, his brother explained. Fish and Wildlife Service, he's been smuggling endangered animal parts. He won't be coming back for a long time. I was stuck with a wolf and no idea what to do. The brother wanted nothing to do with Timber and suggested I just let him go in the mountains. Instead, I contacted a wildlife sanctuary specializing in wolf rehabilitation. When their experts arrived, they were shocked. Timber wasn't just any wolf parn, he was a pure Arctic wolf, critically endangered and worth a fortune on the black market. This animal is incredibly rare, the sanctuary director explained. He's also surprisingly well socialized with humans, which makes him scientifically valuable. We've been trying to establish a breeding program for years. The sanctuary offered me a deal. They would take Timber into their protected breeding program, and in exchange, I would receive a finder's fee and ongoing payments from their research grants and breeding program. That finder's fee was $50,000 per, enough to clear my debts and put a down payment on a small house outside the city. The ongoing payments from the research program have totaled over $150,000 in the past year alone. But the real windfall came 6 months later. Timber's DNA was so valuable that a major pharmaceutical company licensed it for research on a new class of antibiotics derived from compounds in Arctic wolf saliva. My contract with the sanctuary included a percentage of any research licensing deals. That licensing deal is now worth $1.2 million over 5 years. I've since learned that Marcus was part of an international smuggling ring specializing in exotic animals. He had purchased Timber as a cub for $85,000, intending to sell him to a collector in DA for 3 times that amount. The wildlife agents who interviewed me were amazed. I had spent a week living with an apex predator without incident. The sanctuary director explained that Timber had likely been hand-raised from birth, which explained his unusual comfort with humans. I now live in a beautiful mountain home with a direct view of the sanctuary where Timber lives with his new mate. They are expecting cubs this spring, the first successful breeding of Arctic wolves in captivity in over a decade. Sometimes I visit and watch him from the observation deck. He always seems to recognize me, those yellow eyes locking with mine across the distance, all because I didn't know the difference between a dog and a wolf parent and was desperate enough to accept $500 for a weekend of pet sitting.